My name is Miles Carter. I was 27 years old when I walked away from the one person everyone in the company feared. Evelyn Hart, the youngest CEO of Hart Technologies. A woman who could make a room fall silent with just one look. People called her the Ice Queen. They said she had no emotions. They said she only cared about numbers, deals, and winning. But I knew something they didn't. Evelyn Hart was not emotionless. She was just terrible at showing what she felt. And unfortunately, I was the person who learned that the hardest way. Are you seriously submitting your resignation? Evelyn looked at the paper on her desk. Her voice was calm. Too calm. That was always her way. When she was angry, she didn't yell. When she was upset, she became even colder. I stood across from her desk and nodded. Yes. Her eyes finally moved from the resignation letter to my face. For what reason? I almost laughed. For what reason? After 3 years working beside her, she was really asking me that? Because I'm tired. Her expression changed slightly. Only slightly. Most people would never notice. But I did. I noticed every little thing about her. What are you tired of, Miles? I looked at her. I'm tired of pretending I don't care. The room became quiet. Evelyn didn't respond. I continued. I'm tired of being the person who is always there for you, while you treat me like I'm just another employee. Her eyebrows moved. Miles. No, let me finish. I had spent too long keeping everything inside. You call me at midnight because you need help with a project. I come. You cancel meetings with everyone else, but when I ask you to have dinner, you say you're busy. You trust me with everything about the company, but you never let me know anything about you. Evelyn slowly stood up. Miles, that's not true. Then tell me I'm wrong. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. That hurt more than I expected, because silence was her answer. I smiled bitterly. That's what I thought. Everyone believed working for Evelyn Hart was a dream. The salary was incredible. The opportunities were endless. But nobody knew what it felt like to stand beside someone who was always one step away, yet somehow impossible to reach. I didn't leave because I hated her. I left because I cared too much. And I was tired of hoping for something that would never happen. Evelyn picked up the resignation letter. You know, leaving this company will change your career. I know. You won't have my resources. I know. You won't have my protection. I looked at her. I never wanted your protection. That sentence made her freeze. For the first time, I saw something behind her cold expression. Fear. Real fear. But it disappeared almost immediately. You're making a mistake. Maybe I was. But I had already decided. I hope you find someone who can stay beside you. I turned around. Before I reached the door, her voice stopped me. Miles. I paused. It was rare. Evelyn almost never called my name like that. Not as a boss. Not as a CEO. Just as Evelyn. Are you really leaving? My hand rested on the door handle. I waited. I wanted her to say something. Anything. Tell me not to go. Tell me I mattered. Tell me I was more than an employee. But after several seconds, she said only, if that's your decision, I won't stop you. My heart sank. I nodded. Goodbye, Evelyn. I walked out. And I didn't see the way she stared at the closed door after I left. I didn't see how tightly she held the resignation letter. I didn't see how her assistant, Sarah, entered the room 10 minutes later and found something impossible. Evelyn Hart was crying. 3 weeks later, I was finally living a normal life. No late-night emergency meetings. No endless emails. No walking into an office where everyone became silent because the CEO arrived. I found a new job at a smaller tech company. The pay was lower. The pressure was less. And for the first time in years, I felt free. At least, that was what I thought. Until my friend Daniel called me. Miles, I found someone for you. I immediately knew where this was going. No. You didn't even ask who. I don't need to. You've been single for 3 years. I'm busy. You're always busy. That sounds familiar. Daniel laughed. Exactly. You're becoming like your old boss. I rolled my eyes. Very funny. Just one dinner. No. Miles. No. She's successful. No. She's beautiful. No. She already agreed. I frowned. Wait. What? Daniel smiled. I already arranged it. You're unbelievable. Saturday night. Don't be late. I wanted to refuse. But somehow I agreed. Maybe because I wanted to prove to myself that I had moved on. Maybe because I wanted to finally start something new. I had no idea that one dinner would destroy everything I thought I knew. Because when I arrived at the restaurant, The woman sitting across from me was the last person I expected. A woman wearing a simple black dress. A woman with the same cold eyes. A woman who had once controlled an entire company with a single sentence. Evelyn Hart. She looked at me calmly. Then she smiled. A real smile. Something I had never seen before. Hi, Miles. I couldn't move. What are you doing here? She picked up her coffee. Having dinner. With who? Her eyes met mine. With my blind date. I stared at her. No. Evelyn tilted her head slightly. Yes. I stood up. I'm leaving. For the first time, the Ice Queen looked nervous. She reached out and grabbed my hand. Not forcefully, just enough to stop me. Miles. I looked down at her hand holding mine, then back at her face. She whispered, "You already escaped from my company." A pause. "But you're not escaping from me." And that was the moment I realized something terrifying. The woman who never chased anyone was chasing me. I stared at Evelyn Hart's hand around mine. 3 weeks ago, that hand had signed billion-dollar contracts. That hand had pointed at a screen during meetings and changed the direction of an entire company. Everyone in Silicon Valley respected her. Some people feared her. But now, that same hand was holding mine in a restaurant because she didn't want me to leave. I slowly pulled my hand back. "Evelyn, what are you doing?" She looked at me calmly. "Having dinner with you." "You know what I mean." "Yes." She didn't avoid my question. That surprised me. The old Evelyn would have ignored anything uncomfortable and moved straight to business. But this Evelyn? She looked almost nervous. "I asked Daniel to arrange this." I narrowed my eyes. "You knew?" "Yes." "You knew I would be here?" "Yes." I laughed softly. "You planned this." She nodded. "I wanted to see you." That answer caught me off guard. Not because it was complicated, because it was simple. Evelyn Hart never said things like that. Not to anyone. "You could have called me." I did. I froze. "What?" She looked down for a second. "I called you 6 times after you left." I remembered those calls. I ignored every single one. Because I thought she only wanted to discuss work. "You called me about the company." "No." Her answer was immediate. "I called because you left." I didn't speak. Evelyn looked at me. "You changed your phone number after leaving." I needed space. "I know. And you still found me." "Yes." I sighed. That sounds exactly like something a CEO would do. A small smile appeared on her face. "No." "What?" "That sounds like something a woman would do when she misses someone." For a moment, I forgot how to respond. Because that wasn't the Evelyn I knew. The Evelyn I knew would say, "We need to discuss the quarterly report." Not, "I miss you." The waiter came over, and we ordered dinner. I expected the conversation to be awkward. Actually, I expected it to be impossible. But then something strange happened. Evelyn started asking me questions. Not about work. Not about projects. About me. "How is your new job?" I looked at her. "Fine. Do you like it?" "Yes." "Are you sleeping enough?" I raised an eyebrow. "Are you seriously asking me that?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because you never slept enough when you worked for me." I looked away. That was true. During the final months at Hart Technologies, I worked almost every night. But every morning, there would be coffee waiting on my desk. I always thought it came from my assistant. It didn't. It came from her. "You knew?" "Of course." "You noticed?" "Miles." Her voice became softer. "I noticed everything about you." That sentence hit harder than I expected. Because that was exactly what I wanted to hear before I left. "Why now?" I finally asked. Evelyn looked at me. "Why are you doing this now?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she put down her fork. "Because I was wrong." I blinked. Evelyn Hart admitting she was wrong? That was almost impossible. "You?" "Yes." "You're admitting you made a mistake?" "Yes." I couldn't help smiling. That might be the first time in history. She actually laughed. A quiet laugh. A real one. And I realized something. I had worked beside this woman for years. But I had never really seen her. Not the CEO. Not the Ice Queen. Just Evelyn. "I thought you understood." Her words became quieter. "I thought you knew." "Knew what?" "That you were different." I looked at her. "Different how?" She looked away. "You were the only person who talked to me normally." I stayed silent. Everyone else saw my position. My money. My company. But you argued with me. You told me when I was wrong. You made jokes when everyone else was afraid to even breathe. A small smile appeared on her face. I hated it. I laughed. "You hated me?" "No." She looked directly at me. "I hated that I liked it." My smile disappeared. Evelyn continued. I built my entire life around control. I knew how to run a company. I knew how to negotiate. I knew how to win. She paused. But I didn't know what to do when someone made me want something I couldn't control. My heart moved. Because I finally understood. She wasn't cold because she didn't care. She was cold because caring scared her. After dinner, I expected her to say goodbye. Instead, she walked me to my car. You're really different now. I looked at her. Different? Yes. How? You're happier. I smiled. Maybe because I don't work for you anymore. Evelyn nodded. I understand. I was surprised. You do? Yes. That answer made me stop. Because I expected her to argue, to convince me to return. But she didn't. I don't want you back as my employee. She looked at me. I want you back as Miles. I didn't know what to say. Then she reached into her bag. She took out something. A small envelope. What is that? A letter. From you. Yes. I didn't take it immediately. Why? Because I couldn't say it before. She held it out. This time, I don't want to hide behind my position. I accepted it. Evelyn. She stepped closer. Miles. Her voice was quiet. Can I ask you something? What? Can we start over? I looked at her. The woman who once sat above everyone in a glass office. The woman who had thousands of employees. The woman who could buy anything she wanted. Was standing in front of me asking for one thing she couldn't buy. A second chance. I wanted to say yes. I really did. But there was still a part of me that was afraid. Evelyn, you're the CEO of a billion-dollar company. Yes. And I'm just. She interrupted me. Don't say that. I stopped. Her eyes became serious. You are not just anything. The confidence in her voice returned. But this time, it wasn't the confidence of a CEO. It was the confidence of someone who finally knew what she wanted. I spent years building an empire. She looked at me. But the one person I wanted beside me walked away. A pause. And I'm not making that mistake again. That night, when I got home, I opened the envelope. Inside was not a business proposal, not a contract, not a demand. It was a handwritten letter. The first line was enough to make me freeze. Miles, I don't know how to be someone's girlfriend. I only know how to be your CEO. But if you give me a chance, I want to learn. I read the entire letter twice, then 3 times. And for the first time since leaving Heart Technologies, I wondered if maybe I had been running away from the wrong thing. Because maybe the woman I thought could never love anyone had been waiting for me all along. After reading Evelyn's letter, I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I was confused, because I was thinking about every moment I had spent with her. Every time I thought she didn't care. Every time I thought I was just another employee. And every time I was probably wrong. The problem was simple. Evelyn Hart was the most powerful woman I had ever met. And I was afraid that if I stepped back into her world, I would disappear again. I wasn't afraid of her. I was afraid of losing myself. The next morning, I arrived at my new office earlier than usual. I wanted to focus. I wanted to prove that my life didn't revolve around Evelyn. But the moment I sat down, my coworker Jake looked at me with a strange smile. You look exhausted. I didn't sleep. Late night. I looked at him. Something like that. He laughed. Let me guess. You finally went on a date. I almost dropped my coffee. How did you know? Because you have the face of someone who just discovered women are complicated. I ignored him. It wasn't a normal date. Jake leaned closer. Why? I hesitated. Then I said, my date was my former boss. He waited, then blinked. Your former boss? Yes. What kind of boss? I looked at him. Evelyn Hart. Jake stopped smiling. No way. Yes. The Evelyn Hart. Yes. The woman who rejected a $500 million acquisition offer because the other CEO called her assistant disrespectful. Yes. The woman who fired a senior executive during a meeting because he lied. Yes. Jake stared at me. And she went on a date with you? I nodded. He was silent for a few seconds. Then he said, Miles. What? You are either the luckiest man alive. A pause. Or the most dangerous person in Silicon Valley. I laughed. But deep down, I knew something. Evelyn wasn't joking. She was really trying. That afternoon, my phone rang. I looked at the screen. Evelyn. I stared at it for several seconds. Before, I would have answered immediately because she was my boss. Now, I didn't know what role she had in my life. Finally, I answered. Hello. There was a short silence. Then her voice came. Hi. Just one word. But somehow, it sounded different. Less like a CEO. More like a woman who was nervous. Did I interrupt you? I looked at my computer. No. Are you sure? Yes. Another silence. Then she said, I wanted to ask something. What? Have you eaten lunch? I frowned. That's why you called. Yes. I smiled. Evelyn, you can buy an entire restaurant. Why are you asking me if I ate? Because I want to know. I didn't expect that answer. What? I know it sounds strange. It does. I spent years solving problems with money. She paused. But I'm learning that some things aren't solved that way. I leaned back. You're really serious about this? Yes. There was no hesitation. That surprised me. The old Evelyn always calculated everything. This Evelyn simply answered. An hour later, someone knocked on my office door. I looked up and froze. Evelyn was standing there. Actually standing there. At my workplace. Everyone around me immediately became quiet. Because everyone knew who she was. My manager nearly dropped his tablet. Ms. Hart. Evelyn nodded politely. Hello. The entire office looked shocked. The CEO of one of the biggest technology companies in America had walked into a small startup office. And she wasn't there for a meeting. She was there for me. I walked toward her. What are you doing here? She held up a paper bag. Lunch. I looked at the bag. You came here personally to bring me lunch? Yes. Why didn't you send someone? She looked at me seriously. Because I wanted to see you. I didn't know how to answer. Then my coworker Jake whispered from behind me. She is absolutely chasing you. I heard him. So did Evelyn. She looked at him. Jake immediately stood straight. Sorry, Ms. Hart. But instead of being cold, Evelyn smiled. It's okay. Everyone froze. Because they had never seen Evelyn smile. Not like that. We ate lunch together outside the office. I still couldn't believe it. You know everyone thinks you're terrifying. Evelyn nodded. I know. And you're okay with that? Yes. Why? Because being feared is easier. I looked at her. Easier than what? She looked down. Being rejected. That answer surprised me. You? Yes. You're afraid of rejection? Miles. She looked at me. Everyone is. For a moment, I forgot she was Evelyn Hart. The CEO. The billionaire. The woman who could change people's careers with one phone call. She was just someone afraid of losing someone important. Over the next few weeks, something unbelievable happened. Evelyn started learning how to date. And she was terrible at it. But somehow, that made her more attractive. The woman who could negotiate international deals couldn't decide where to go for dinner. Miles, I have a question. What? Is asking you to choose the restaurant considered controlling? I laughed. No. Are you sure? Yes. Because I researched relationships. I almost choked. You researched relationships? Yes. Like business. No. She paused. Actually, maybe a little. I laughed harder. And she smiled. She liked making me laugh. One night, she showed up outside my apartment. I opened the door and froze. What are you doing here? She held 2 coffee cups. I brought you coffee. I looked at her. You? Yes. You hate waiting in lines. Yes. You hate crowded places. Yes. You hate driving yourself. Yes. I looked at the coffee. You did all that for coffee? She shook her head. No. Then why? She looked at me. Because I wanted to see you for 10 minutes. That was the moment something inside me changed. Because Evelyn Hart, the woman everyone wanted something from, was finally asking for something. Not from my skills. Not from my work. From me. But I still had one question. A question I couldn't ignore. Evelyn. Yes. What happens when you get tired of this? She frowned. Tired? Of chasing me. She looked genuinely confused. Then she stepped closer. Miles. Her voice became serious. I spent years building a company because I thought success meant having everything. She looked directly into my eyes. But when you left, she swallowed. I realized I had everything except the person I wanted. I stayed silent. She smiled softly. So no, I'm not going to get tired. A pause. Because for once in my life, I'm not chasing success. I'm chasing you. And for the first time since leaving her, I stopped thinking about running away. I used to think Evelyn Hart was impossible to understand. Everyone did. She was the kind of person who could walk into a room and instantly change the atmosphere. People adjusted their voices around her. Executives prepared for weeks before meeting her. Employees checked every detail because nobody wanted to disappoint her. But the more time I spent with her outside of work, the more I realized something. Everyone knew Evelyn Hart, the CEO. Nobody knew Evelyn, the woman. And I was beginning to see the difference. A few days after she came to my apartment with coffee, I received a message from her. "Evelyn, are you free tonight?" I looked at my phone and smiled. It was funny. 3 months ago, if Evelyn had messaged me, I would have answered within seconds. Because she was my boss. Now I was smiling because I actually wanted to hear from her. Me depends. Is this a CEO request or a normal request? A minute later, she replied, "Evelyn, a normal request." I stared at the message. Then another one came. "Evelyn, I think." I laughed. The old Evelyn would never admit she was unsure. Me, "What do you want?" Evelyn, "Dinner." Me, "With me?" Evelyn, "Yes." Me, "You know you don't have to ask." There was a longer pause this time. Then, "Evelyn, I know. I want to." That sentence stayed in my mind longer than it should have. Because that was Evelyn's biggest change. Before, she never asked. She decided. She commanded. She handled everything herself. But now, she was choosing me. Not because she had to. Because she wanted to. When I arrived at the restaurant, Evelyn was already there. But something was different. She looked nervous. Actually nervous. I sat down across from her. "Are you okay?" She immediately answered, "Yes." Too fast. I smiled. "You're lying." She looked surprised. "I don't lie." "You do. When you're nervous." She was quiet. Then she asked, "How can you tell?" I shrugged. "Because I know you." For some reason, that answer affected her. Her expression softened. "You really do." "Yes." Even when I try to hide everything? Especially then. She looked down at her hands. And I realized something. The woman who controlled billion-dollar negotiations was struggling to hold a simple conversation about feelings. "Miles." "Yes." "I need to tell you something." Her serious tone made me sit up. "What happened?" She shook her head. "Nothing bad." "Then why do you sound like you're preparing for a business presentation?" She almost smiled. "Because this is harder. Harder than running a company." "Yes." I waited. Evelyn took a breath. "When you resigned." She stopped. Then continued. "I was angry." "I know. I thought you were making an emotional decision." I nodded. "I thought so too. But I was wrong." I looked at her. "I didn't understand why you left." She looked directly at me. "Until Sarah told me something." "What?" she said. "You lost him because you treated him like someone you needed instead of someone you loved." I didn't speak. Because that was exactly how I felt. Evelyn continued. "I hated hearing that." "Why?" Because she was right. The restaurant became quiet around us. But I wasn't focused on anything except her. I thought giving you opportunities was enough. I thought protecting your career was enough. I thought trusting you with my company was enough. Her voice became softer. "But you didn't want those things. You wanted me." I looked away. Because hearing her say it out loud felt different. "You wanted me to tell you that you mattered." She smiled sadly. "And I failed." I shook my head. "Evelyn." "No." She stopped me. "I need to say this." The confidence in her voice returned. Not the CEO confidence. Something stronger. Honesty. I spent my whole life making sure nobody could hurt me. I built walls. I became someone nobody could get close to. She looked at me. "Then you walked into my life and ignored every wall I built." I smiled slightly. "Because you were annoying." Her eyes widened. "Annoying?" "Yes." "How?" "You were impossible." "That sounds insulting." "It is." She stared at me. Then I laughed. But I liked it. A small smile appeared on her face. The kind of smile nobody else in the world probably saw. After dinner, we walked outside. It started raining lightly. Normally, Evelyn would have immediately called someone to bring a car. Instead, she just stood beside me. "You're getting wet." "So are you." "I'm fine." I looked at her. "You always say that." "Because I am." "No." She looked at me. "No. No." I stepped closer. "You're not always fine." For the first time, Evelyn didn't argue. She just looked at me. Then she said something I never expected. "I was scared when you left." I froze. "You?" "Yes." "Why didn't you tell me?" She smiled faintly. "Because I didn't know how." That answer hurt. Because I finally understood. Evelyn wasn't rejecting me. She was fighting against something inside herself. The next day, I received a package at my apartment. I opened it and found an old notebook. Confused, I opened the first page. My name was written there. Miles Carter. I immediately called her. Evelyn. Yes. What is this? A pause. My notes. About me? Yes. I couldn't believe it. You kept notes about me? Not like that. Then what? She was quiet. Then, things you like. Things you hate. Things that make you happy. Things that make you uncomfortable. I sat down. Why? Her answer was simple. Because I wanted to understand you. I looked through the pages. Favorite coffee. Favorite food. The movie I mentioned once. The day I had a bad headache but still came to work. The small things nobody remembered. Except her. That night, I finally understood. I thought I had been invisible to Evelyn. But I was wrong. I was the only person she had truly been watching. The only person she remembered. The only person she was willing to change for. And maybe the biggest mistake I made was believing that the Ice Queen had no heart. Because the truth was much more surprising. The coldest woman I had ever met had been quietly loving me the entire time. After I learned the truth about Evelyn, everything between us changed. Not suddenly. Not like some movie where two people realize their feelings and everything becomes perfect overnight. It was slower than that. More real. I started seeing the little things. The things nobody else noticed. The woman who could negotiate with billionaires was nervous when she asked me where I wanted to eat. The woman who could command hundreds of employees would wait outside my office just to walk with me for 5 minutes. The woman who never apologized to anyone once said, "I'm sorry, Miles. I should have listened." And somehow, that meant more than anything expensive she could have given me. One Friday afternoon, I was leaving work when I saw Evelyn waiting outside. She wasn't surrounded by assistants. She wasn't standing beside a luxury car. She was just there, like a normal person. I walked toward her. You know, if your employees saw you standing outside a small startup office waiting for someone, half of them would probably faint. She smiled. Would that be bad? For your reputation? Maybe. For mine? No. I laughed. You really don't care anymore? She looked at me. I care about one person's opinion. I already knew the answer. Mine. Yes. That was Evelyn. She could face an entire industry without fear. But somehow, my opinion mattered more than all of them. We went for dinner. Nothing fancy. No expensive restaurant. No private room. Just a small place near my apartment. And that was when I noticed something. Evelyn was happy. Not CEO happy. Not the polite smile she used during meetings. Actually happy. She looked at the menu for almost 10 minutes. I laughed. You're struggling? She frowned. I'm deciding. It's a burger menu. Yes. There are only 20 options. That makes it harder. I smiled. You manage a company with thousands of employees, but a burger menu scares you? She looked serious. Running a company is easier. Why? Because companies follow rules. And people don't. No. She looked at me. People are unpredictable. I nodded. Especially me? She smiled. Especially you. After dinner, something unexpected happened. A woman walked over to our table. Miles. I turned around. It was Chloe, someone I knew from my old company. She smiled when she saw me. I heard you left Heart Technologies. I was surprised. Yeah, it was time for something different. Her eyes moved toward Evelyn, then widened. Oh, she recognized her immediately. Ms. Hart. Evelyn nodded. Hello. Chloe smiled. I didn't know you two knew each other outside work. The way she said it made me uncomfortable. Because she clearly knew. Everyone knew Evelyn was my former boss. And everyone knew she was impossible to approach. Chloe looked at me. Actually, Miles, I was going to ask if you're free sometime. Before I could answer, Evelyn looked up. Not angry. Not rude. Just calm. But I knew that look. It was the same look she used when someone challenged her in a business meeting. Miles is busy. I looked at her. Am I? She immediately realized what she had done. Her expression changed. I mean, for the first time, Evelyn Hart looked embarrassed. I'm sorry. I almost laughed. Because this was unbelievable. The Ice Queen CEO had just apologized because she accidentally answered for me. Chloe smiled. I guess I understand. She left. I looked at Evelyn. You know you were jealous. No. I raised an eyebrow. No. No. Evelyn. She sighed. Maybe. I laughed. You admitted it. Yes. You actually admitted you were jealous. She looked away. I'm learning. That's new. Yes. She looked back at me. I don't like seeing someone else interested in you. My smile faded slightly. Why? She answered without hesitation. Because I know how it feels to lose you. The next week, Evelyn invited me to a company event. I almost refused. Why do I need to go? Because I want you there. That sounds dangerous. Why? Because everyone there knows me as your former employee. She looked at me. Miles. Yes. You are not just my former employee. I stayed quiet. She continued. You are the person I choose. That sentence stayed with me. Because Evelyn never used words casually. The event was full of important people. Executives, investors, media. Everyone wanted Evelyn's attention. But the moment I walked in, she came toward me. Not after the meeting. Not when nobody was watching. Immediately, she walked straight to me and took my hand. I looked at her. Evelyn. Yes. Everyone is looking. I know. Are you okay with that? She squeezed my hand. I spent years hiding what mattered to me. A pause. I'm done hiding. People around us started whispering. Nobody expected this. Nobody expected Evelyn Hart, the woman who rejected countless people, to publicly stand beside someone. Then a reporter approached. Ms. Hart, may we ask who Mr. Carter is? The room became quiet. I expected her to give some professional answer. Something safe. Instead, Evelyn looked at me. Then at the reporter. He is Miles Carter. The reporter waited. And Evelyn smiled. He is someone very important to me. The reporter asked. Is he your business partner? No. An employee? No. Then who is he? Evelyn didn't hesitate. She held my hand tighter. He is the man I'm trying to win over. The entire room froze, including me, because Evelyn Hart just admitted something impossible. The most powerful woman in the room was chasing me. Later that night, I asked her about it. You really said that? Yes. Why? Because it's true. You're not embarrassed? She looked confused. Why would I be? Because you're Evelyn Hart. She smiled. Miles. Yes. Being strong doesn't mean I can't love someone. She stepped closer. It means I know exactly who I want. My heart started beating faster. And who is that? She looked at me. You. That night, when I returned home, I received a message from her. Evelyn, did I make you uncomfortable today? I smiled. Me, no. A few seconds later. Evelyn, good. Then another message appeared. Evelyn, because I'm not planning to stop. I laughed. Me, stop what? Her reply came quickly. Evelyn, chasing you. I stared at the screen. Then another message arrived. Evelyn, you spent 3 years walking away from me, Miles. Evelyn, I'm spending the rest of my life walking toward you. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of being caught. Because maybe, I had been hoping she would catch me all along. I thought I had finally accepted my feelings for Evelyn. I thought I had stopped running. But the truth was, I was still afraid. Not of loving her. Of what came after. Because Evelyn Hart wasn't just the woman I liked. She was Evelyn Hart, the CEO of a billion-dollar company. The woman whose name appeared on business magazines. The woman who could walk into any room and belong there. And me? I was just Miles Carter. A guy who built his career with his own hands. A guy who didn't want to be known as the man dating Evelyn Hart. I wanted her, but I didn't want to become someone standing behind her. And that fear started growing again. One night, Evelyn invited me to her apartment. Not her company office. Not some business meeting. Just dinner. When I arrived, I noticed something immediately. There were no assistants. No employees. No business calls. Just Evelyn. Cooking. I stopped at the door. She turned around. You're early. I stared at her. You're cooking? Yes. I looked at the kitchen. Then at her. You know there are restaurants everywhere. I know. You could literally have a private chef. I know. Then why? She looked at me. Because I wanted to make something for you. I didn't know how to respond. Because this woman had changed. The old Evelyn would have ordered the best food in the city. This Evelyn was standing in front of me with flour on her sleeve, trying to make dinner. We ate together. It was simple, quiet, almost normal. And maybe that was the problem. Because normal felt dangerous. Normal made me imagine a future. A future where I wasn't just someone passing through her life. A future where I actually stayed. And that scared me. Miles. I looked up. Yes. You're thinking too much. I smiled. You can tell. I know you. I looked down. That sentence hurt. Because she was right. She knew me. Probably better than I knew myself. What if this doesn't work? Evelyn became serious. Why wouldn't it? Because your life is different from mine. She didn't answer. I continued. You have everything planned. No. Yes, you do. I looked at her. You know what you want. You know where you're going. A pause. And I'm still figuring things out. Evelyn slowly put down her fork. Miles. Her voice was calm, but I could hear something underneath. What? You think I'm asking you to become part of my world? I stayed quiet. But I'm not. She looked directly at me. I'm asking to become part of yours. That sentence stayed with me. But fear is strange. Sometimes, even when someone gives you the answer you need, you still find reasons to doubt. A few days later, I received an offer. A great opportunity. A position at a technology company in Seattle. Better salary. More independence. A fresh start. And something inside me thought, maybe this is what I need. Maybe distance will make things easier. Maybe I won't always feel like I'm standing in Evelyn's shadow. I told her on a Thursday night. We were walking after dinner. I got an offer. She smiled. That's great. I looked at her. You're not upset? Why would I be? It's in Seattle. The smile disappeared. Only slightly. But I noticed. How long? I'm not sure. She nodded. When do you leave? Monday. Silence. I waited for her to stop me. To tell me not to go. To ask me to stay. But she didn't. Instead, she said, I'm happy for you. And somehow, that hurt more. You are. Yes. Even if I leave? She looked at me. Miles. Her voice was gentle. I love you. I froze. Because those were the first 3 words she had ever said. Not, I need you. Not, stay. Not, don't go. Just, I love you. But then she continued. And loving you means wanting you to be happy. I looked away. Because suddenly leaving felt much harder. The next morning, I booked my flight. I didn't tell Evelyn. Not because I wanted to hurt her. Because I knew if I saw her face, I might stay. And maybe that was unfair. Maybe I was still running. But I didn't know how to stop. At the airport, I stood near the gate with my suitcase. I looked at my phone. No messages. No calls. Part of me was relieved. Part of me was disappointed. Maybe she really would let me go. Maybe I had misunderstood everything. Then my phone rang. Evelyn. I answered. Hello. There was silence. Then, where are you? My heart stopped. Evelyn. Where are you, Miles? Her voice wasn't angry. It was scared. I looked around. Airport. Another silence. Then she said, wait for me. I closed my eyes. Evelyn, your schedule. I canceled it. You have meetings. They can wait. Evelyn. Her voice became softer. Miles. I stopped. I spent years choosing everything except what mattered. A pause. I'm not doing that again. 20 minutes later, I saw her. Walking toward me. No assistance. No security. No perfect CEO image. Just Evelyn. She looked tired. Like she had rushed here without caring about anything else. She stopped in front of me. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she said, you were really going to leave without saying goodbye? I looked away. I thought it would be easier. For who? I didn't answer. She stepped closer. For you? Silence. For me? Still silence. Then she shook her head. Miles. Her eyes were different. Not cold. Not confident. Just honest. I can handle losing deals. I can handle losing money. I can handle people criticizing me. Her voice cracked slightly. But I can't handle losing you because you were afraid to stay. That hit me harder than anything. I don't want your company. She looked at me. I don't want your money. I don't want your status. I swallowed. I just want to know that I belong beside you. Evelyn stared at me. Then she stepped forward and held my hand. Right there in the airport. Where anyone could see. You do. I looked at her. You're sure? Yes. How? She smiled sadly. Because you're the only person who never needed anything from me. A pause. You loved me before you knew how powerful I was. Her fingers tightened around mine. And that's why I'm afraid of losing you. The boarding announcement played. My flight was ready. Evelyn looked at me. She didn't command me. She didn't ask. She just whispered, please don't leave. Those 3 words broke something inside me. Because the woman who could order the world around was standing in front of me asking for one thing. Me. I looked at my ticket. Then at her. And for the first time, I realized something. Maybe the person who was afraid of losing everything wasn't me. It was her. I slowly folded the ticket. Evelyn's eyes widened. Miles. I smiled. I guess I'm staying. For the first time, I saw the Ice Queen completely lose control. She smiled. And then she hugged me, right in the middle of the airport. And I knew I was no longer running. After the airport, everything changed. Not because Evelyn became a different person, because I finally stopped seeing her as someone impossible to reach. For so long, I thought loving Evelyn meant entering her world, her company, her lifestyle, her level. But I was wrong. Evelyn wasn't asking me to become someone else. She was choosing to come closer to me. And that changed everything. The next morning, I woke up to a message from her. Evelyn, good morning. Did you sleep well? I smiled at my phone. It was such a simple message. But from Evelyn Hart? It felt unbelievable. 3 months ago, her morning messages were always, need the updated report. Meeting moved to 9. Call me when you arrive. Now, did you sleep well? I typed back. Me. Are you sure this is Evelyn Hart? A few seconds later. Evelyn, yes. Me. The same Evelyn Hart who once scared an entire conference room into silence? Evelyn, yes. Me. The same woman who fired someone because he was 5 minutes late? A pause. Then, Evelyn. He was disrespectful to my assistant. I laughed. Because that was still her. She was softer. But she was still Evelyn. A week later, Evelyn invited me to an event. Not a business event. A charity event. She told me it was important to her. I want you to come with me. I looked at her. As your date. She nodded. Yes. I smiled. You know people will talk. I know. They'll say things. I know. They'll say I'm only there because of you. Her expression changed. Not anger. Something stronger. No. I looked at her. No. They will not. Evelyn. She interrupted me. Miles. Her voice was calm. But this time, I need you to understand something. She stepped closer. I don't see you as someone standing beside me. A pause. I see myself as someone lucky enough to stand beside you. I didn't know what to say. Because coming from anyone else, it might sound like a nice line. But from Evelyn, it meant everything. At the event, exactly what I expected happened. People noticed. Everyone knew Evelyn. And everyone noticed me. Some people whispered. Some looked surprised. Some clearly didn't understand. I ignored it. I had already made my choice. But then I overheard 2 executives talking. He's just some former employee. Do you think this will last? Evelyn always chooses what benefits her. I stopped walking. Not because I was angry. Because I wondered if Evelyn heard them too. Then I felt her hand. She took mine. I looked at her. She had heard. But instead of ignoring it, she walked directly toward them. The 2 executives immediately stopped talking. Ms. Hart. Evelyn looked at them. I heard your conversation. Their faces changed. I apologize. No. Her voice was calm. You don't need to apologize. They looked confused. Then Evelyn looked at me. And what she said next surprised everyone. Miles Carter is not someone who benefits from my position. He is someone who made me a better person. The room became quiet. She continued. He was there before my success mattered. He was there before my name opened doors. He was there when I had nothing to offer except myself. Her fingers tightened around mine. So if anyone thinks he is standing beside me because of what I have, she looked back at them. You don't know him. And you don't know me. Later that night, I asked her about it. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Why? She looked at me. Because you always defend me. I smiled. Every time someone says I'm cold. I laughed. Because they're not completely wrong. She gave me a look. Careful. I smiled. There she is. She tried not to smile, but failed. Then she said, you make me feel normal. I looked at her. Normal? Yes. She looked away. Before you, everyone saw me as someone untouchable. But you didn't. No. Why? I shrugged. Because you were still just a person. Her eyes softened. And that's why I fell for you. A few days later, something unexpected happened. I went to Evelyn's office. The same office where I had resigned. The same place where I walked away. But this time, something felt different. Her assistant Sarah saw me and smiled. Finally. I laughed. Finally. She nodded. Do you know how many times she almost called you after you left? I looked at Evelyn's office. She did. Sarah smiled. She would pick up her phone. Then put it down. Then pick it up again. I laughed softly. That sounds like her. Sarah nodded. She's fearless with everyone else. A pause. But with you. She was terrified. When I entered the office, Evelyn was working. She looked up and immediately smiled. That smile still surprised me. Because I knew how rare it was. You're here. Yes. Why? I walked closer. Because I wanted to see you. She stared at me for a second, then quietly said, I like hearing that. I sat down. You know, for someone who controls everything, you're surprisingly easy to make happy. She looked offended. I am not easy. I smiled. You are. How? One sentence. What sentence? I missed you. She became silent, then looked away. I laughed. Seriously? Yes. You run a company worth billions, but 2 words make you speechless? She nodded. From you. That answer made me stop. Because that was Evelyn's truth. The world could give her everything. Money, power, respect. But none of it mattered the way my words did. That evening, as we left her office, she stopped near the elevator. Miles. Yes. I want to tell you something. What? She looked nervous. Again. The same woman who could negotiate with anyone. Nervous because of me. I used to think being strong meant never needing anyone. She paused. But you changed that. She looked at me. Needing someone doesn't make me weak. It means I found someone worth trusting. I smiled. Evelyn. She interrupted softly. No. She stepped closer. Let me say this. Her eyes met mine. I spent my whole life being the person everyone chased. A pause. But you were the first person I ever wanted to chase. That night, I realized something. Everyone called Evelyn Hart the Ice Queen. But they were wrong. She wasn't cold. She was just waiting for someone who could make her feel safe enough to melt. And somehow, that person was me. I used to think my story with Evelyn Hart would end the moment I walked away from Hart Technologies. I thought leaving was the only way to protect myself. I thought distance would make everything easier. I was wrong. Because some people are not meant to disappear from your life. Some people find their way back, even if they have to cross every obstacle to do it. And Evelyn Hart was that person. Months passed after the night she admitted she wanted to chase me. Our relationship became something neither of us expected. The woman who once spent 18 hours a day managing a company started making time for ordinary things. Breakfast together, late-night conversations, walking around the city without security, watching movies on my couch. The funniest part was that Evelyn Hart, the woman everyone thought could do anything, was terrible at relaxing. One night, we were watching a movie at my apartment. She was sitting beside me, completely focused. I looked at her. You know you're allowed to enjoy this, right? She looked confused. I am enjoying it. You're analyzing it. I am not. You just predicted the ending 20 minutes ago. Because the storyline was obvious. I laughed. You're impossible. She looked at me. You like that? I smiled. Yes. Good. That answer made me laugh. Because old Evelyn would never admit she wanted my approval. Now, she didn't hide it anymore. One weekend, I visited her office. I expected the same thing as before. A powerful CEO surrounded by assistants and meetings. But when I arrived, Sarah stopped me. Miles. Hey, Sarah. She smiled. She's waiting for you. I looked surprised. Really? Sarah nodded. She canceled a meeting. I raised an eyebrow. Evelyn canceled a meeting? Yes. Because of me? Sarah smiled. Do you remember when you first worked here? Yeah. She never canceled anything. I looked toward Evelyn's office. Sarah continued. You changed her. I smiled. I didn't do anything. That's exactly why. I looked at her. Sarah smiled. You never treated her like a CEO. A pause. You treated her like Evelyn. When I entered her office, she was standing by the window. She turned around and smiled immediately. There was no hesitation, no cold expression, just happiness. You came. Yes. I missed you. I smiled. You say that so easily now. Yes. 3 months ago, you couldn't even say what you felt. She nodded. I know. What changed? She walked toward me. You left. I became quiet. She continued. When you left, I realized something. I could replace employees. I could replace business partners. I could rebuild companies. But I couldn't replace you. Her words were simple, but they were everything. That afternoon, we went to the place where everything started. The restaurant where we had our first, second chance. The same table. The same seats. Evelyn looked around. Do you remember what you said that night? I smiled. I said I was leaving. She nodded. You did. You tried to run. Yes. She looked at me. You always do that. I laughed. What? When things become important, you get scared. I wanted to argue. But she was right. She continued. And I used to do the same thing. I looked at her. You? Yes. How? She smiled. When something mattered to me, I tried to control it. A pause. But you can't control love. I stayed silent. Because that was the biggest lesson we both learned. After dinner, Evelyn became unusually quiet. I noticed immediately. What's wrong? Nothing. I smiled. You're lying. She looked at me. You learned that too? Yes. She looked down, then reached into her bag. My heart stopped. Because I knew that look. She was nervous. She pulled out a small box. I froze. Evelyn, before you say anything. She smiled. I know this is not how most people do this. I looked at the box, then at her. She opened it. Inside was a ring. Miles Carter. My mind went blank. The woman who never asked anyone for anything was asking me. I spent my life building things. My company. My reputation. My future. She looked at me. But I never built a life with someone. Her voice became softer. Until you. I couldn't speak. Not because I didn't know the answer. Because I knew it immediately. Evelyn continued. I know I'm not easy. I smiled. That's true. She gave me a look. I'm serious. I know. I know I can be difficult. Yes. I know I think too much. Definitely. She almost laughed. But her expression became serious again. I also know one thing. What? I don't want a future where you're not there. The restaurant was quiet. Everything around us disappeared. There was no CEO. No employee. No difference in status. Just two people. The woman who had finally learned how to love. And the man who had finally learned how to stay. I reached for her hand. Evelyn. Yes. You know you're supposed to ask a question, right? She blinked. What? I smiled. You haven't asked. She looked confused. Then nervous. And for the first time, I saw the strongest woman I knew completely lose her confidence. She quietly asked, Miles Carter, will you marry me? I smiled. You know, I spent months trying to escape you. I know. And somehow, you still found me. Yes. I looked at her. You really don't give up. She shook her head. Not when it comes to you. I stood up. Then I pulled her into my arms. Yes. Her eyes widened. Yes. Yes. For a second, Evelyn Hart didn't move. Then she hugged me. Not like a CEO. Not like someone powerful. Like someone who had finally received the one thing she wanted. Me. A few months later, people still talked about the story. The billionaire CEO who chased a man. The ice queen who finally melted. The woman who could have anyone. But chose one person. At our wedding, Sarah joked. I still can't believe you made Evelyn Hart chase you. I laughed. I didn't. Sarah looked confused. Then what happened? I looked at Evelyn. She was laughing with friends. Actually laughing. Happy. And I smiled. She found me. Looking back, I realized something. I thought leaving Evelyn Hart would give me freedom. But the truth was, I wasn't running away from her. I was running away from the possibility that someone like her could truly love someone like me. And I was wrong. Because the coldest woman in the world wasn't cold at all. She was just waiting for the one person who could make her feel something. And somehow, that person was me. Miles Carter. The man who tried to escape the Ice Queen. And became the only person she would never let go.